Wow, what a couple of months we've had with all the busyness surrounding trade shows, so many in a short space of time. At Future Source, we came back from ISE and were pleasantly surprised at the turnout, just how it felt to be back in person. We've just now arrived back from InfoComm and more of the same. We were blown away by how great it was to be back in person. Visiting clients, friends, and ultimately meeting new people around the industry as well. Really one of the key takeaways from that, although we can see, and now the attendance figures have been released, that it's significantly less than 2019, there was still a massive buzz in the air around innovation and new opportunities in the industry moving forwards. And I think that can be a key takeaway from our total experience at InfoComm this year. It was really interesting to see kind of the differences in booth sizes and kind of attendance at different stands during the show. We really saw a few stands that were absolutely packed at the show. I think that's kind of the reasons are twofold for that. One being kind of essentially smaller stands were booked. That's completely understandable, considering the fact that a lot of this was booked and organized back when we were in the throes of the pandemic, and people kind of cut their booth size accordingly. But if we look at on the other side of that, there were some clear kind of interesting brands at the show that were drawing a lot of the conversations, those focusing on leading edge technologies, especially relating to kind of control, the broader connectivity piece, AV managed services, and of course, kind of the conferencing and collaboration side as well, but much more on top of that as well. From an audio perspective, InfoComm was really interesting this year. We saw some brands that we didn't see exhibit at ISE earlier in the year. I think there was a big kind of decision to make for audio brands between ISE, InfoComm, NAM, ProLight and Sound, NAB, so many trade shows in the same period of time. But it was a great show for audio, especially if you're looking at kind of the conferencing, DSP sectors, those crossing over into kind of control and kind of managed platforms. It was a really interesting show, and a lot of those stands centering around those types of technologies were really busy. Of course, installation has become increasingly important for professional audio over recent years, and during the pandemic, increasingly so. So it was great to see brands out in force, a lot of those having kind of local representation from the US, but also a lot of worldwide managers and employees there at the show. So it was great to see the variety of technology on offer. Although we didn't see maybe the same level of product announcements we have in previous years, it was the same at ISE. I think that was because of the proximity of the shows. We did see some really interesting steps forward, especially in relation to how different ecosystems fit together, how brands are making partnerships across industries, and also how brands are engaging with end users and channel partners as well.